What if you could become immune to insults and criticism? Not by growing a thicker skin, but by mastering your own mind. Think about it. Most of us spend our lives being puppeteered by the words and opinions of others, reacting to every little slight, every harsh comment, and every perceived injustice. This reactivity absolutely robs us of our peace. It drains our energy, and it puts our happiness in the hands of complete strangers. But it doesn't have to be this way. The ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca, one of the sharpest minds of the Roman Empire, gave us a roadmap to rock-solid inner peace. He taught that the power to be offended isn't with the person dishing out the insult, but with the person on the receiving end. In this video, we're diving into 10 of his timeless lessons that will teach you how to take that power back, stay calm and centered in the face of negativity, and ultimately, how to never get offended again. Lesson 1. Reject the first spark. The first and most important lesson from Seneca is to put out the fire of anger before it even starts. He described anger as a process that kicks off with an involuntary reaction, a first spark. This is that hot flush you feel when someone cuts you off in traffic, that jolt of indignation from a rude comment. Now, this initial reaction isn't anger yet. It's just a physiological blip. True anger is what you choose to do next, when you lean into that feeling, decide the offense is real, and that a fiery response is justified. Seneca warns that once you give in to this first impulse, anger takes over, and your reason gets thrown out the window. He literally called anger a brief madness. It's an emotion that's uniquely hungry for punishment and destruction, and it leads to actions we almost always regret. The key is to create space between that spark and your response. Seneca taught that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. When you feel that spark, don't act, don't speak, just pause. Take a deep breath. This tiny moment of delay is your first line of defense, giving your rational mind a chance to step in and see things clearly. So, how do we actually do this? Seneca tells us straight up. The best course is to reject straight away the initial prickings of anger. To do that, create a mental tripwire. The second you feel that flash of irritation, tell yourself, stop. You can even do something physical, like stand up, change your posture, or take 10 slow, deep breaths. Ask yourself a simple question. Will this matter in a week? A month? A year? Most of the time, the answer is a hard no. By refusing to add fuel to that first spark, you starve the fire before it can ever really start to burn. Lesson 2. Reframe the offender as fallible. This next lesson is a game changer. When someone offends us, our gut instinct is to see them as an enemy who intentionally targeted us. Seneca asks us to flip that script. See them not as evil, but as ignorant, mistaken, or simply fallible, just like us. He reminds us that we all have flaws, and we all mess up. Now, this doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It's about understanding where it comes from. Seneca would argue that people do wrong from a place of ignorance about what's truly good. They're like a ship without a rudder, lost at sea. An insult, from this angle, isn't some calculated attack, but a symptom of their own inner chaos. They're acting out of weakness, not strength. As Seneca wrote, all cruelty springs from weakness. To put this into practice, try a quick empathy exercise. The next time someone says something that stings, before you react, silently come up with a couple of possible reasons for their behavior that have nothing to do with you. Maybe they're under crazy stress at work. Maybe they're dealing with a personal loss. Maybe no one ever taught them how to communicate with respect. You don't know their story. Then, Use this powerful line in your mind. They made a mistake. I have made mistakes too. This simple phrase reframes the whole situation, shifting it from a personal attack to an instance of shared human imperfection. By recognizing that we're all a bit flawed, the personal sting of the offense starts to fade. You move from a place of righteous anger to one of understanding, and maybe even a little pity. Lesson 3. Don't go looking for offense. How often do we get offended not by something said to our face, but by something we went looking for? We scroll through social media comments knowing we'll find trolls. We bug a friend to tell us what someone really said about us. We replay a conversation on a loop, hunting for a hidden insult. Seneca saw this self-sabotaging habit and called it out. He taught that a huge chunk of our suffering comes from a misguided curiosity that actively seeks out things that will wreck our peace. He saw tranquility as a garden you have to protect, and looking for reasons to be offended is like inviting pests inside. We tell ourselves we need to know the truth, but Seneca would challenge us, does knowing this actually make my life better? If the answer is no, you owe it to yourself to just let it go. Choosing to ignore potential insults isn't weakness. It's a sign of wisdom and self-respect. As Seneca might put it, we should fight the urge to be curious about hurtful things. In today's world, this is a superpower. It means setting digital boundaries. It means choosing not to read the anonymous comments. It means not pressing for gossip. When a thought like, "I wonder what they think of me," pops into your head, you can gently dismiss it as irrelevant to your well-being. A great technique is to develop a relevance filter. Before you dive down a rabbit hole of negativity, ask, is this information essential for my happiness, my work, or my character? If not, you have the power to just turn away. You're the gatekeeper of your own mind. Don't willingly open the gate to things that only want to cause you harm. Lesson 4. See the bigger context. When we're insulted, the offense can feel massive, like it's the only thing that matters. Seneca's fourth lesson is to shrink the insult by putting it in its proper place. He encouraged practicing what the Stoics called a view from above, zooming out from the heat of the moment to see the bigger picture. From the perspective of your entire life, how much will this one comment truly matter? This is the core of his famous observation. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We take one small fleeting event, a single sentence, a dismissive look, and our imagination blows it up into a catastrophe. We build whole stories around it, projecting past hurts and future fears onto this one moment, making it so much heavier than it really is. The insult itself is a pebble, but our imagination turns it into a mountain. To use this lesson, harness the power of perspective. Next time you feel offended, ask yourself the zoom-out question. On my deathbed looking back, will this moment even be a blip on the radar? The answer is almost always no. Another powerful trick is to mentally list 2 or 3 genuinely hard things you've already overcome. A serious illness, the loss of a loved one, a major career failure. You got through those. Now, put the current insult next to those real mountains. See how small it becomes? This doesn't mean your feelings aren't valid, but it right-sizes the problem. It reminds you of your own resilience and puts the temporary sting of an insult back in its tiny, insignificant place. Lesson 5. Convert anger into an opportunity to teach. Our default reaction to being hurt is often the desire for revenge. Our primitive brain screams for payback. Seneca offers a radical, and much more powerful alternative. What if, instead of avenging an injury, we chose to heal it? He believed the truly superior response isn't to sink to the offender's level, but to rise above it and turn the moment into something constructive. He famously stated, "How much better it is to heal an injury than to avenge it." Revenge, he argued, just keeps the cycle of negativity going. It chains you to the person who wronged you, forcing you to waste your precious energy on them. Healing, on the other hand, gives you power. It turns you from a passive victim into an active teacher or problem solver. It reframes the offense as a signal that something is broken and needs fixing in the relationship, in the other person's understanding, or maybe even in yourself. So, how do you do this? It takes courage. Instead of lashing out, you can use a calm, non-blaming script. For example, when you said X, it made me feel Y. I'd love to talk about it so we can understand each other better. This isn't about pointing fingers. It's about clarifying and correcting. You're addressing the action, not attacking their character. If talking it out isn't an option, you can still use this lesson for yourself. Ask, what can I learn from this? What does this teach me about my boundaries or the kind of people I want in my life? By seeing an offense as a lesson instead of an attack, you rob it of its power to hurt you and use it as fuel for your own growth. If you're finding these lessons from Seneca helpful in building your inner fortress, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. We explore timeless wisdom like this every week to help you live a stronger, more peaceful life. Lesson 6. Prepare for insults in advance. One of the most powerful Stoic exercises is called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. The idea is simple but brilliant. Don't wait for insults or misfortunes to show up unannounced. Rehearse them in your mind beforehand. Seneca wasn't a pessimist. He was a realist. He knew life is full of hardship. By anticipating these difficulties, you rob them of their greatest weapon, the element of surprise. Seneca wrote, "If an evil has been pondered beforehand, the blow is gentle when it comes. An insult you've already imagined has no power to shock you. You've already met it in your mind. You've already planned your calm, rational response." This mental rehearsal is like an emotional vaccine. It exposes you to a small, controlled dose of the negative event so you can build up your immunity. To practice this, take a few minutes each morning. Think about the day ahead. Imagine someone saying something critical or unfair, a colleague dismissing your idea, a family member making a passive-aggressive comment. Don't just stew in the negativity. Visualize yourself responding with perfect Stoic calm. See yourself pausing, breathing, and choosing a virtuous response. You can also create simple if-then plans. If my boss criticizes my work, then I will listen calmly and ask for specifics. If someone is rude to me online, then I will simply ignore it and move on. By regularly preparing for adversity, you're no longer a fragile victim of circumstance. You become a trained spiritual athlete, ready for whatever the day brings. Lesson 7. Seek your own applause. So much of the pain from insults comes from relying on other people for validation. We want them to like us, approve of us, and confirm our worth. When someone criticizes us, it feels like they're revoking that approval, and it shakes our sense of self. Seneca's 7th lesson gets right to the root of this. Stop looking for applause from the crowd. Learn to be your own audience. He taught that a person who is secure in their own values is immune to the fickle opinions of others. Their self-worth is internal. It can't be given by others, so it can't be taken away. Seneca captured this perfectly when he wrote, "Be your own spectator, seek your own applause." This is a call for radical self-reliance. It's about shifting your focus from "what do they think of me?" to "what do I think of me? Am I living by my principles? Am I acting with integrity?" To practice this, you need to develop a strong inner scorecard. First, define your values. What does it mean for you to be a good person, a good professional, a good friend? Write them down. Honesty, integrity, kindness, courage. Once your standards are clear, judge your actions against them. Before reacting to an insult, do a quick internal check. Ask yourself, did I act with integrity here? Am I proud of how I'm handling this? If the answer is yes, then the other person's opinion is just noise. You've already gotten the only approval that matters. When you're your own judge and you deliver a verdict of not guilty, the prosecution's case just falls apart. Lesson 8. Choose your company wisely. While Stoicism is all about building an inner fortress, it's also incredibly practical. Seneca knew that our environment and the people we surround ourselves with has a huge impact on our peace of mind. Lesson 8 is a piece of pragmatic advice. Protect your peace by limiting your exposure to toxic people. You wouldn't keep touching a hot stove, so why keep exposing yourself to people who consistently bring negativity, drama, and offense into your life? Seneca warned about the dangers of the crowd, noting how easily we can get pulled into the mob's way of thinking and feeling. He understood that constant exposure to negativity, gossip, and anger is corrosive to the soul. In our hyper-connected world, this is more relevant than ever. The crowd isn't just in the town square anymore. It's in our social media feeds, our comment sections, and our 24/7 news cycles. Applying this requires a conscious audit of your social and digital world. Who in your life consistently leaves you feeling drained, angry, or defensive? Which online spaces are just cesspools of outrage? Once you know, you have the power to create distance. This doesn't always mean cutting people out completely, but it can mean setting firm boundaries, spending less time with certain individuals, or using the mute, unfollow, and block buttons without guilt. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's essential self-preservation. You're not running from a fight. You're wisely choosing not to enter a battle where there's no prize worth winning. Lesson 9. Use reasoned judgment, not assumption. So often, offense isn't born from a clear insult, but from our own interpretation of an ambiguous situation. A short email is read as angry. A mistext is seen as a deliberate slight. We assume the worst, and then get angry based on our own assumption. Seneca taught that this is a critical error in judgment. He urged us to act like a fair judge, examine the facts calmly, and question our first impressions before rushing to a verdict. Anger, Seneca noted, is a terrible judge. It's hasty, emotional, and often invents crimes where none exist. Reason, on the other hand, is patient and seeks clarity. This lesson calls on us to stop being creators of imaginary slights and start being investigators of reality. Instead of jumping to malice, we must consider other, more charitable explanations. Maybe the short email was written by someone in a hurry. Maybe the person who didn't respond was simply overwhelmed. The practical step here is transformative. Before you react, clarify. If you feel stung by someone's words, try a fact-checking script like, "I want to make sure I understand. When you said X, did you mean Y?" This simple question can diffuse countless misunderstandings by moving you from assumption to fact. Another powerful technique is to actively come up with 3 alternative, non-malicious explanations for their behavior. This breaks the spell of your initial negative assumption. By choosing to lead with curiosity instead of accusation, we stop manufacturing our own offenses and start building bridges of understanding. Lesson 10. Forgive for your own freedom. This final lesson is perhaps the most liberating of all. Forgiveness. When we hold on to a grudge, replaying an offense over and over, we think we're punishing the person who wronged us. But as Seneca taught, we are only punishing ourselves. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, isn't about excusing what the other person did. It's about granting yourself freedom. Seneca even said, "To avoid being angry with individuals, you must pardon the whole mass." This is a radical call to forgive humanity for being flawed. It is an acceptance that people will be thoughtless, selfish, and ignorant. Expecting anything else is setting yourself up for a life of constant disappointment. By forgiving in advance, you release yourself from the expectation that the world should be perfect. Resentment is a massive waste of energy. It hijacks your mind, steals your focus, and poisons your present. So, practice forgiveness as an energy audit. When you feel that anger bubble up over a past offense, ask yourself, where could I better invest this energy right now? Then, consciously redirect that energy towards something that actually matters. Your work, your family, your growth. A powerful ritual is to write the offense down on a piece of paper. You can write, "I forgive you, not for you, but for me." Then tear it up. This symbolic act reinforces your decision to let go and reclaim your mental and emotional freedom. As Seneca knew, true power isn't in the ability to punish, but in the ability to heal and move on. Conclusion. These 10 lessons from Seneca aren't just dusty philosophical ideas. They are a practical toolkit for modern life. They teach us that our inner peace isn't some fragile thing at the mercy of others. It's a fortress we can build, brick by brick, with conscious practice. From rejecting that first spark of anger to forgiving for our own freedom, these principles give us a real strategy for mastering our minds. They show us that we always have a choice. We can choose to be offended, reactive, and let others control our emotional state. Or we can choose to be calm, rational, and anchor our well-being in the one thing we truly control, our own judgment. The journey to becoming unoffendable isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming wise and free and saving your energy for what truly matters. So, here's a challenge. For the next week, pick just one of these 10 lessons to practice. Maybe you'll focus on pausing before you react. Or maybe you'll try reframing someone's actions through a lens of human fallibility. Let us know in the comments which lesson you're going to practice. And if this journey into Stoic wisdom was valuable to you, please like this video and subscribe for more content to help you build a resilient mind and a tranquil life. Thanks for watching.